Okay, it's 12:01, so we're going to get started, everyone. I want to thank those of you who are joining me live for taking the time today. And thank all of you for reaching out and for participating in our 21-day program, or challenge, if you want to call it that, of Commit 20. It's a concept that I started a couple of years ago, and most recently in February we launched a community with, I think we had 65 members, and now with this community we're up to well over 120 now, so an additional 60 of you have reached out and accepted the invitation to take part in our community again over the course of the next 21 days. So in terms of today's talk and setting the tone for the program, when I was preparing for this on my walk today, there was a lot of things that were floating through my head in terms of concepts and themes that I wanted to share about movement, stillness, and growth specifically. But generally, what I think is most important, everyone, is how we're feeling right now as we're navigating our way through something we've never experienced before. And maybe what this is teaching us, and maybe what some of the lessons are that we might be learning from what we're going through right now with respect to coronavirus and COVID-19. And I think for myself, as I look at the challenges that we're faced with, and we're all experiencing anxiety and stress and feelings of grief and sadness, and I am no different. I think it really, for me, shifts into feelings of how do I gain perspective through this? How do I focus on the things that are within my control? How am I coping with this? And how am I developing my sense of resiliency with respect to dealing with those emotions of sadness or anxiety? And when I look at what's happening right now, and I look at our history and where we're headed, overall, I think it's safe to say that these kinds of things are teaching us great lessons. Pandemics have happened in the past and will happen again. And so I see this as an opportunity to learn and grow. But I also see this as an opportunity to adjust, to pause and rethink how I live my life. It's a time to recalibrate our approach, if you will, to shift, to pivot, whatever word resonates with you. I think it's time for us to rethink what we do and our very existence and how we are going to proceed as we move through this. And if this is the biggest wake-up call of our generation, we cannot hit the snooze button on this one. And we use that term wake-up call loosely in our lives all the time. Losing a loved one, relationship issues, job loss, health challenges, and we use the term wake-up call, but rarely do we actually pause and create change for ourselves as we move forward. And so again, I think this is the ultimate opportunity for us to use this as a stimulus for growth, and use this as a foundation for change, and not hit that snooze button, and truly think about our existence in a different way. In preparing this morning, someone posted an article who's part of our community. Amanda posted an article from the Daily Mail talking about how fear is gripping a lot of us, and fear of death in particular, and something that our society and our generation doesn't deal with very well is death, and how this fear is actually the enemy of reason. And it's a fantastic article, and I'll share it with all of you later. But it made me think about what we are afraid of right now, and I think a lot of what we're experiencing right now is fear of living and fear of ourselves. And when you think about all the things that have been taken away from us or put on pause, all the stuff that we used to do that we're not able to do right now, all the stuff that we used to have that maybe we're not able to have right now, and maybe we're uncertain as to whether we will be able to have that stuff again. And I think there's a real fear through some of this isolation and downtime of us of really looking within. And I think that fear of ourselves and fear of our own thoughts is also crippling and having a deep effect on us. And so I think that fear of when all this stuff is gone, what's left, right? And the uncertainty of the future. When some of that stuff might not return, what's left? And I think, stepping back and looking on how I've navigated my way through the past 3 weeks, the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and how I plan to navigate today and tomorrow and moving forward, there's a lot of things that are left. And when I think about what's left for me is I still have the ability to move my body and exercise and be healthy. I still have an ability to meditate and reflect, and find a sense of meaning for myself. I still have an ability to enjoy nature, as limited as that might be right now. I still have the ability to love and feel emotion. I still have the ability to create things, to learn and to grow and experience life. And again, adjusting my perspective on how I do those things. I still have the ability to build community. I've always been one to bring people together for an experience, and this is no different. I've always, had the ability to support others, and again, I think I'm trying to do that through this medium and in my own home life. And so when I think about what's left when we take away all the stuff, what's left is you. What's left is me. And that for me is enough to keep going. And that for me is fulfilling and enriching and what motivates me. And I hope you're able to reflect on and understand that there's a lot of great things about you that I hope through this experience you're able to explore and uncover. And so from there, I guess the conversation shifts to what motivates you to take part in this, what motivates you to carry on over the next 3 weeks, and beyond. And again, hopefully we're not hitting the snooze button in 3 weeks and going back to normal, whatever normal means. And so what motivates you to take part in this? And I asked you that question. I posted some worksheets earlier today that you can use as a template. But what motivates you to do this? It might be something as simple as maybe you've been a bit sedentary over the past few weeks and you want to just simply get your body moving again and get some exercise. Maybe it's a sense of curiosity around meditation or journaling that you want to explore, and you've always thought about it, but you've never tried it. And this seems like maybe a safe place to experience that. And, maybe you want to be like John Candy in the 1981 blockbuster Stripes, and you want to come out of this a lean, mean fighting machine, and that's okay too. Whatever motivates you, that's the beauty of this concept, is that it meets you where you are, and no matter where you are, you can begin. And I think that's probably the most important piece of advice I can give, is just begin, regardless of movement, stillness, and growth and where you are at with those practices. Just begin and do something that you feel is enriching and fulfilling to you. There's a couple of words that I want to leave with you today and a brief story that I want to share, but some key words and phrases over the next couple of weeks you're going to hear a lot of. And the first one is intention. I think intention in a couple of different ways. For me, I start my day with a daily intention. Today, my daily intention before bringing you this message was to be myself and believe in myself. A daily intention for me is like an anchor to my core values. It's who I am and what I want to represent to myself and others. And it really sets the tone for me, and it brings me back to me being me and me being whole. And so I encourage you, as you navigate your way through the next 3 weeks and beyond, to set a daily intention every day. If you can write it in your journal or put it in your phone or somewhere where you can remind yourself to go back to that anchor of who you are and what you represent, I think is really important. The other word around intention is intentionality and purpose around your 3 practices. Think about what it is that you want to do to move your body. Plan for time for meditation and reflection. Set aside time and be intentional around your writing practice or your creative expression, whatever that might be. So a sense of intentionality as we navigate our way with our 3 practices will be really important. The other word I want to say is engage. I think being engaged in the experience is important. Like anything in life, you will only get out of this what you put into it. And so it's really important to lean in. We hear that phrase a lot lately, to lean into the experience, connect with others in the community, share your stories and share your journey with others. And I think in doing so, it also helps us, that form of expression helps us navigate our way internally as well. And so engaging is really, really important. And you'll hear that word throughout the next few weeks. And the last word that I will leave you with is joy, is still being able to find a sense of joy. Especially when we are incorporating new habits into our daily routines, it's important that we do things that we will enjoy doing. If you don't like running, then don't run. Go ride a bike, or do yoga, or do other forms of movement. But make sure that what you're doing is something that you want to do, that you are excited about doing, that you find joy in doing. If seated meditation is not for you and it's just something that you've tried and you can't seem to connect with, that's okay too. You can go for meditative walks. There's all kinds of different forms of meditation, and there's lots of resources out there that I will share with you to help you find your way with that. But again, finding a sense of joy is really, really important when we incorporate new habits into our daily lifestyle. And so I'll leave you with a really quick story. It's been interesting to me, and we can have some questions that'll come up on the comment board as well after I finish the story. But it's fascinating to me to see how people all over the world are finding their way through this, and how countries are responding to coronavirus and limiting its spread. And I have friends all over the world that I've been connecting with and supporting, and they've been supporting me, and that's also a really important part of our Commit 20 community. But my friends in El Salvador, Freddie was sharing a story with me earlier about a friend of his who right now is in a quarantine center. And in El Salvador, if you return from an international flight, you were not able to typically go home to a 14-day quarantine. For some of those individuals, they were actually sent to quarantine centers, which are almost like prisons, for a period of 30 days. And there was an interview with one of his friends who shared his story of coming off a flight from South America where he was doing some peace and reconciliation work. And he was channeled into one of these quarantine centers for a period of 30 days, separated from his wife and his 2 children. And the quote that really resonated with me was, distance is not the absence of presence. And he was referring to being able to connect with his wife, electronically, but more so spiritually, and that his absence in the home did not mean that he was not present in terms of sending his love and his energy to others. And what an incredible message for so many of us who are at home with our families and fortunate enough to be healthy and safe and be in the presence of others. But are we being truly present with others and with ourselves? And I think that's a reoccurring theme through the talk today. And I thought about this idea of isolation, and it doesn't mean I need to be isolated from myself. And it's really important that we do find a sense of presence with ourselves and to be present with ourselves and with those around us. I think that's a really, really important message I got from that story today. And, one of the things I get from my meditation practice is about being kind and gentle with my thoughts, being kind and gentle with the words that I speak to myself. And being kind and gentle to those around me, and loving kindness and things like that. And when I think about going back to that earlier theme of when everything else is gone, what's left? And I think the more we are present and the more we reflect internally, I think we know that everything that we need, we already possess within. We have right here. And so that's the message I want to leave with you today as we move forward in this experience, and we'll speak more specifically about our practices in the coming days, but that's the message I wanted to convey today. And so with that, I'll open it up to questions. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them here, or you can private message me later, and we'll have a conversation and a dialogue. I love connecting with each of you. Your messages of support are incredibly inspirational to me. And this is so important for so many of us on so many levels. And I want to say thank you to all of you. So I will leave it at that. I don't think there's any questions, but I'm absolutely grateful for this opportunity to share this experience with all of you. So be kind, be safe, be well. Peace, everybody.